All right, we're live now. I'll get my screen share going and we can going at it. Okay, where do you want to start? Rhonda, I have a feeling there was one question of yours that I didn't get to last time. Is that true? You know what I mean? It was one of those text messages you sent that I maybe didn't see until after we had been disconnected. I didn't get to last time.
No, I think you got it.
Oh, okay, good. So do you guys have some questions you want to see with?
I
hope
do.
I was just watching something, and the people were terribly upset that the teacher called his fellow students guys, which I just did. My apologies if I've offended you.
I'm good.
Doesn't offend me at all.
I didn't know if you were gonna start like questions, from the first lesson, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, or if you just want us to throw them out.
I'd say let's just throw them out.
Okay. I guess I'll start then with in lesson 2.3. I was just doing for review, I was doing the assignment.
Yes.
And it was, you can pick any of them between 18 and 25 from 2.3.
All right. I'm just looking at a couple things I've got up here under that guys. 23. Yeah, okay.
I think it might be like equality. I should have wrote down the page. 2.3.
18 to 23. Yeah, those are what do you call them? Those all of a sudden I can't think of the name of them. I'm right at it and I can't think of it. When you define them using sets with x/x, yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll just pick number 18 and let's get started. And you can tell me if that works for you.
Sure.
Okay.
Set builder notation, is that what you were looking for?
That's what I'm looking for. Thank you. The directions are draw a Venn diagram to illustrate. Okay. The first thing I notice is that it's an OR problem, which means we need to do a union. And in general, remember that when you're doing a union, we're going to take all the shading and kind of join it together into one big happy shading. All right. So it's everything in A or in B. So when we set this up, we're going to draw ourselves a rectangle here. So basically, because it's in B and in A, and it's an OR, it's a union between A interesting internet noises here. Okay. So now I'm trying to draw this. A union B is what I've just tried to sketch. What's the answer, though? The answer is not the cross hatching. It's all the shading together. So in other words, the final answer is what? The interior of the MasterCard symbol? Any questions on that one?
No, could we just do one more?
Yeah, why don't you pick it?
Okay. Let's do 25.
Let's do 25. Interesting noises, huh?
You know, I'm sorry, my daughter decided to join today, and she's.
Oh, well, that's fine. Oh, that was that?
I think.
Now,
I think she might have to go.
that's funny.
She wants some love. She's tired of me and books.
Well, you can tell her that she's not only getting through to you, she's getting through to some other people on the internet.
She sounds like a trucker.
Okay, and then we have parentheses. X is an element of B. And again, X is an element of C. Okay, so I believe if I've copied it right, here's number 25. Now, we need to start working from inside out. We obviously have three sets here, A, B, and C. So let me get a rectangle going again. We'll set up our universal set. We'll do a B, and a C. So step one is what's the first, the innermost parentheses. That's an and. So what does that mean? That's an intersection. So is this one going to be when we get there? So where do B and C intersect? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got that part done. Now that black shading I just did, we also need to overlap, but this time with what? Everything that's outside of A? So where's outside of A? Well, let me sketch that as well as I can here. I'll do, I don't know, I'll do red. So outside of A with red. Whoops, I missed. Okay, outside of A with red. Yeah, I'm getting everything goofed up here a little bit. All right, let's close that back up. All right, go back to the red, outside of A. So now, if I've drawn it correctly, now all we got to do is find out where does the red shading overlap my original black shading. And it's kind of, yeah, how do I show you this without pointing to it? I'll outline it in blue. Isn't this where everything overlaps?
Mm-hmm.
That would be the final answer, where the first overlap overlaps with the second shading. So that would be, yeah. And by the way, I never did write that. I should have written that out. So what we just did is B intersects C in parentheses, and then we did what? What did we say? A complement? At this stage, we said A complement intersect. So that's actually what we found. That set builder notation is that's always a little bit harder for people to get used to. little less natural. Okay, Rhonda, did you have any you want me to do?
Anything at all to help me. So just
Well, I've
head
got,
out
I'll
of
tell you,
class.
while you guys think, I'll tell you what, I'll just look at some other problems, okay? I don't have a, let's see what else I have on 2-3. I don't have a lot on 2-3 here. Here was another one we did once where we had actually 3 things to do. We had 2 sets of parentheses, and then we had to join those. The first one was A intersect B complement. Now, I didn't draw out the B complement, but can you see that the red is the answer to that first part? Where does circle A overlap everything outside of B? Can you guys see that the red is the correct answer to that?
So the intersection is the cross-hatching, the union is
Yeah,
all.
except that, yeah, you are so right. But I took a shortcut here because this was so messy.
Okay.
I didn't actually draw B complement here, but I put down where that would have crosshatched with circle A, and that's the red shading. But yeah, you're right. Intersection is normally crosshatching, and union is all shading together. So anyway, all right. Hopefully you see where I got the red from. How about let's do the green part. Where's everything outside of C joined together with A? So everything outside of C, but throw circle A in there too. And that's my green answer up there. Sorry, it's really sloppy. I couldn't draw lines very well that day, but so it's everything outside of C with the addition of all of circle A included. So that's the green. Now the final answer, I'm running out of colors here, but the final answer would be when you join both those green and red shadings together. So everywhere you see shading, that's the final answer. So it's everything but that, I don't know, this non-shaded part of circle C. And by the way, there should, I just corrected it a little minute. Yeah, there should be nothing in this, yeah. Anyway, now the answer looks more technically correct. So there's another problem from 2-3. Then the one we did today. I don't know. Do you want me to move on to a different section, or do you want me to dwell here?
I just had one more from 2.3, and it's verifying equality. Any of the 26, 27, 28, or 29.
All right.
And I think it's just I'm not understanding what we did in that to verify.
In problems 26 to 29, draw a Venn diagram that satisfies each equation. Oh, so you got to show me, is there a way that A could intersect B in nothing, for example, in number 26? So you've got to,
that would just
go
be
ahead.
2 circles, not overlapping.
Absolutely correct. Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. See, I'm overthinking this.
No, that's all right. So, you know, they could, I don't like the title verifying because that's really not a verification. That's, can you find a situation where you would get this answer? That's really what they're asking you to do. And you're right. On 26, all you have to do is pick an A and a B like this. And where do they intersect? The empty set. So that's it for 26. These are kind of good. Let's do some more of these. 27. Can we find a way to have A overlap B so that the answer is B? That one you got to give a lot of thought to. Anybody have an idea?
The only thing that comes to mind is A would be inside of B.
Yeah, actually it's the opposite.
Oh, B is inside of A.
And where do the two overlap right now? Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome. Fine, how are you?
Good. Sorry I'm late.
I'm glad you're here. We have three of us together online. Pretty cool. Anyway, we're on page 80, Mike, and we're doing a question from section 2.3.
Okay, thanks.
So 27 again says A intersect B is B. Where do A and B overlap right now? Isn't that where they overlap? And sure enough, that's B. That's kind of a special case. I don't know if you guys can see that. Should we look at, let's try doing number 28 also. A union B intersects C is nothing. Okay, so when you join A and B and take their union, their union would be like the inside of the MasterCard symbol of those two. But then when you take that answer and overlap it with C, you get nothing. So all you need there is what? A separate C? Right? Because if you do A union B, you're going to get all of this A, B stuff. And where does that overlap C? It doesn't. So A union B, and where does it overlap C? It doesn't. It comes out to the empty set. Those are a little hard because they're actually asking you to create the problem. They're giving you the answer, and you have to create the problem, and that's harder. You got to kind of think backwards. So those were pretty challenging. Okay, so Michelle, that's it for 2.3 for you?
Yes.
Mike, do you have anything like on maybe on section 2.3 specifically you want to talk about?
No, I'm fine.
All right. Well, I'm going to move to 2.4. I don't know. Remember 2.4 was when we had to do all these puzzles, I guess you'd call them. I don't know, I'll just find one. We've done this one before, but I'll do the one on top of page 88. It's example 4. So let me get a page here. So we've got one of these puzzles where a survey of students at a university shows that, and then they have all these numbers of people that like different kinds of music. So we have 3 kinds of music: jazz, rock, and classical. So what I'm going to do is just set up a set problem with 3 sets. Jazz, rock, classical. And how do we fill in the puzzle? Well, you actually usually go to the bottom of the list, right? Where it says 3 liked all. So we're gonna, you must start in that maximum overlap area, and then work your way up. 5 like rock and jazz. Rock and jazz. That's this area right here, and we already have 3 in there, and we need a total of 5. That means that's got to be a 2. 13 like classical and rock. That's this one here. 13 that has the total. 10 like classical and jazz. Do those numbers I filled in there make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now we go to our what? Our singles. And we learn that 40 like classical. Well, we already have 20, so we need 20 to fill that one up to 40. 23 like rock. We have 15, so we need 8 more. And 29 like jazz. 12 plus 17 is 29. Now, they said there's a total of 70 students. So what's the last thing we have to do? We gotta add them up to see if there's any on the outside. 19, 27, 37, 40, 47, 67 I came up with. That means there must be 3 people who don't like any of those 3 types of music. I guess, yeah, what are the questions now? A, what are the number of students who like classical only? 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the number of students who like jazz and rock, but not classical?
19?
No. The jazz,
420. Oh.
jazz and rock is, first of all, only 5, correct? You
Oh,
guys
yeah.
see that?
Yeah.
And rock and is overlap. So that's 5, but now you got to take jazz and rock, but not classical. You see we're down to 2 now?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Jazz and rock, but then throw out the classical, so we're down to 2. Okay. And then the last one, what's the number of students who do not like any of those 3? And that's why we added them up, so we'd know that number on the outside. Okay, so there's, I don't know, there's a quick reminder of 2.4 problem. Okay, what do we got from 2.5? Stop me and throw stuff in if you want. Oh, 2.5 was the one where I gave you the presentation on infinite sets.
Infinity, right.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, any of you want to look, but I believe I have the right test in here now. Do you, any of you want to go over any of the test questions from the Chapter 2 test? No? Not hearing any. Okay. Let's go look at Chapter 3. Okay, 3 was the start of logic. And we already did this in class. Remember, we have all these new symbols now. And we got the inclusive or and the one that's not in the book, the exclusive or. If then, biconditional, is equivalent to is not really an operation. It's more like a what? A linking verb, like an equal sign kind of. And implies and negation. Okay. And then we were just practicing turning sentences into, you know, how you'd write that with the new symbols. This is not, there's not much new here. You know, I'd much rather go through questions you guys do. But I'll just keep going.
Well, I will say, I mean, 3.1 and 3.2.
Yes.
I'm good with, but then 3 biconditional and conditional.
So why don't we zero it? Let's go over to 3.3 then. I like that. Thank you. Conditional and biconditional. So first of all, what's the rule for conditional? That's the. Go ahead.
Only false if first statement is true and second statement's false.
Yep. Rhonda, can you tell me what's the rule for the biconditional?
The biconditional, is that the one only false if they're both false?
No, you're thinking of the inclusive or the big V. The biconditional is what? A single horizontal line with an arrowhead on both ends. Here, let me write out a few of these. So
That's only true when they're all true.
no, the biconditional is true when they're alike. Here, let me just run through this. So the first one Michelle talked about is this one, and like she said, that's only false when the you start with a true and you end with a false. And now this is the one I was asking about, Rhonda. That's the biconditional, and that's true when alike. If you don't get what I mean by that, let me know. But that's when you have a TT, that's a true. When you have a false, that's a true. That's what I mean by alike.
So how do
Okay.
you know in the sentence that it's a biconditional? What's our clues to go with?
Well, you'll either see the word biconditional or you'll see the word if and only if. You remember this?
Oh, yeah.
You might see it like this. I doubt it, but you might see IFF. That's the math way of saying if and only if, or you'll just plain see if and only if.
Okay, I think that's what was getting me, is when to use
Yeah.
true when they're alike.
Or just, you know what? In some cases, I'll just give you the letters and I'll put the symbols in, and I might just ask you to fill out the blanks.
Oh.
So in that case, you wouldn't have any words. But you're right. If you're given an English sentence, you would you'd probably look. Then you would look for this right here. Those are the key words.
I think we
Either
did
that,
have one of those
you
on our
might
test.
just come out and say this. You might just see it say the biconditional. Those would be the two keys for that one.
And then we proceed with a truth table.
Yes.
Okay.
So if I might say, all right, what is P if and only if Q? And you would go like this. You would say P, Q, what am I doing? Horizontal. You would say, all right, I got to make a truth table, and I need a Q, and I need this. And then you would just pursue to, do your typical truth table. And the only time that's true is when they're alike. So those are the two true ones. When they're different, those are falses. And who remembers what's the rule that works exactly opposite of this?
True and they are different.
Right, but which symbol is that?
Is it the double line with the arrows?
No, that's the double line with the arrows is equivalent to.
So then is it the exclusive or?
Yeah, this right down here, the exclusive or. Now that one's true when they're different. Just the opposite. And in fact, let me just add that to this truth table. What's P exclusive or Q? Only when they're different. On this line they're different, true, false. On this line they're different, false, true. So when they're alike, they're false. Just the opposite, these two columns are opposites of each other. Okay, let's see. I forgot, which section was this? This was
3.3.
Yeah. do we want to ask some other 3-3 questions? I can show you some others. I've got this one. I don't know if you want to go through that, but this uses it uses 3 logic things. It uses conditional, and it uses the biconditional. I don't know if you want to go through that.
I'm good with this.
I am as well.
I'm okay.
Here's just another different one, and again, this one's got a biconditional in it. Yeah, I don't know if we want to do this, but here's one. The reason this one's bigger is because it had, what, 4 letters? I'm sorry, 3 letters, PQR. And so we had to do 2 to the 3 power or 8 lines. But otherwise, same old deal here. We got an and, we've got an if-then, and there's an or, and there's a biconditional. So this practiced quite a few rules. And some of these we may have done in class. Do you have any in 3-3 you want to point out or have me try?
I'm good now that we went through that biconditional.
Okay, cool. So, what's 3-4? 3-4 was when we started going into the variations. These guys, you know, we did that in class the other night. The converse is when you swap the Q and the P. The inverse is when you leave them in the same order, but you negate them both. And the contrapositive is kind of a combination of the ones above it. You turn them around, you interchange them, and you negate them both. And ironically, when you do both those things, that's equivalent to the original. So the contrapositive was the most important one of those 3. The converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive. So when you're giving a talk or you're trying to make a point to somebody, you might want to, if it looks like you need to explain it more, you might want to rephrase it in contrapositive form. Sometimes that clears the issue up. Okay, let's see what else do I have.
Can we just talk about this for 1 second?
Yeah, absolutely. You can even do it for more than 1 second.
Okay. Let's do the converse. So that's where you're just putting an if on the second part.
Oh, you mean converse with words?
Yeah, with the words.
Okay, so all right, I'll write something out here. How about if we do, I know I'm so stuck on that stupid rain and sidewalk getting wet. How about if we do this?
If the Packers win, then
Mike
Then
will
we're
be
happy?
perfect.
Okay.
Except for Cowboy fans will not be happy.
Yeah, we could do that too. So I'm going to call this first part P and the second part H. So in effect, this is the sentence that Mike proposed. If Packers win, then we're happy. Okay. So now the question is, what's the converse of that? Just flip it around. So if we're happy, then the Packers won. And while that, that might be true, it's not necessarily true, correct? You might be happy because, I don't know, you just found out your wife is pregnant again. I don't know.
I hope not.
I'm sorry. I'll come up with a different example. If you're happy, I don't know, the government just gave you back $3,000 or something. It doesn't necessarily mean the Packers won. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
So That's why the converse is not the equivalent of the original. That doesn't mean it's automatically false. It means it's not the same as the original. Now, which other one did you ask about besides converse, Mike?
Well, why don't we finish them off? Is that okay?
Yeah. So this is the converse. Okay. And the inverse is, if the Packers don't win, then we're not happy. And I'm not saying that's necessarily, I mean, that may well be true, but again, if you found out that the Packers lost and you've just been named president of the holding corporation for your company, you still might be happy. Follow?
Mm-hmm.
And now let's do the contrapositive, the good guy. If not H, then not P. What is that in words? Okay, that says if you're not happy, then the Packers didn't win. Maybe that's not an example, but that's equivalent to the original. So these two are equivalent. Now, caution. Here's what a lot of people fall for. If I asked you to do the converse, let's go back to the original. If the Packers win, then we're all happy. Some people, when they write the converse, will say, I'm happy if the Packers win. Technically, I haven't changed anything because the if is still on the Packers winning, like it was in the original. You follow? So even though I switched the words, the if is still on the Packers winning. So you don't fall for that. So if I say write the converse, you don't want to write, we're all happy if the Packers. That's nothing. That's no change at all. So in other words, it's not so much which order the words are in, it's which ones have the if on and which ones have the then on. That's what you want to keep your eyes on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if that helped. The more I say on that, I can see a lot of possible. Go ahead.
Can you do number 27 on 3-4?
Sure. 3-4, number 27, will do. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this brings up, you guys remember what those two words mean, necessary and sufficient?
Can you just review that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, here, I'm just going to, if we have if P, then Q, just so we have a starting if-then statement to talk about. The if part is the sufficient part. The then part, that's the necessary part. So another way to put it this way, the sufficient thing, the arrow is going away from, and the necessary thing, the arrow is pointing towards. So could something be both sufficient and necessary? Like the one that Rhonda's asking me about?
If it's a true statement, it would be? Or no?
Yeah. Yes. But, I mean, it's got to have an arrow going away from it and coming back to it, doesn't it? And so it's just a double-headed arrow.
Oh, I got you.
It's a biconditional. So, Rhonda, back to your problem. A necessary and sufficient condition for my passing this course is studying daily. I'm going to call passing this course P and studying daily SD. And if it's both necessary and sufficient, it means the arrow leaves and comes back to. So in other words, that's a fancy way of saying it's a biconditional. Now, do you guys remember the one test question I gave you on this? Let me show it to you, if I can find it. Yeah, there it is. This one right here. You guys remember this one? I circled it in red. I said salvation is necessary for baptism. Now, what's necessary? Salvation or baptism?
Salvation.
Right. And what did I say about necessary? That's the thing that has to be on the receiving end. Okay? So S has to be on the receiving end of the arrow. That's why the arrow points to S. I don't know. Hope that makes sense, but that matches up with the question. Rhonda, what?
So the salvation is necessary, so
Yeah.
the arrow has to point to it.
Yes. So,
Okay.
so if you look at the answer here, you're right. The arrow has to point to salvation. A lot of people wrote if S then B, but the S has to be on the receiving end. Now, what if I just said to you, baptism is sufficient for salvation? What is sufficient? That's on the dull end of the arrow, right?
So it would be the same.
It wouldn't be. That's exactly correct. The answer would be if B then S. I could have asked it that way. Yes. So that's correct.
Since you have the test up,
Yeah.
oh wait, were we still working on something for Mike? I can't remember. I don't want to intrude.
No, I can't remember either. Mike, were we still in the middle of something or not?
No, I think Mike stepped away for a second.
Oh yeah, I got distracted there, but I think I answered his question.
I think so too.
I don't know. If not, we can go back. So go ahead and ask your test question.
I just want to review again number 3B and number 4G.
All right. Let me mark them here.
I
3B.
think they're the same rule.
Oh, yes, De Morgan. Yes. So remember De Morgan's law. I'm going to write it in here. It's this not parentheses A and D beginning. How do you... That's the same as what? Not A or not D, right? Remember in De Morgan you have to flip that and upside down?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
And that or right there is what most people made the mistake on. A lot of people wrote and there. And I know why, because there was an and over here in the beginning. But they forgot to flip it, so to speak. The same thing happened on 4G, Michelle, where it says, here, let me just code that. She did well on the exam. Let's do W for that. She did well on the exam and got a good final grade. So I'm going to call that W and G. Now, you're supposed to negate that. So what do? Parentheses, negation, and using De Morgan, how does that come out? Not W or not G. So then we translated that into words, and what is that? She did not do well on the exam, or she did not get a good final grade. Again, you can't see it very well. That's an or way over there in the corner. I cut it off when I scanned it accidentally. Most people that got this wrong used and here again. So I think the problem is people just didn't see it as a De Morgan's law problem. Otherwise, they would have known.
Now you can answer that as well. Never mind. I got it. Saw the answer.
So I get how in 3, obviously, it has the symbols.
Yes, yes.
How on 4G...
Where did I get those symbols from?
Well, just how, reading that sentence, how would I have known... Oh, because I'm trying to negate it.
Well, the key word is and And so right off the bat, you should be thinking the and symbol. How you abbreviate them, I don't really care. I mean, I used W for she did well on the exam. You could have used any coding you want.
Oh,
But
okay.
but the important thing is the and symbol and what happens when you negate an and.
It turns to an or. Okay, all right, that makes good sense.
That's the key part there. Yeah. So be careful. If I ask you to negate anything with an or an and in it, you should think De Morgan. You got to remember De Morgan.
So I really needed to write that one out, like you did, to realize.
Yeah, maybe that maybe is the key to it. Make a symbol for it, and then because then you won't have any trouble writing the sentence at all. That's a good analysis. So anybody else, as long as we're on the test here, any questions you want to go through on this first page?
I'm good.
How about on the second page of the test? I don't think I don't think anybody had trouble with the top part, so I'm going to scroll to the bottom here.
Number 9.
Okay. Is the following statement true or false?
I forgot what the rule was on that one.
Okay, well, look at the if part, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
4 plus 5 equals 9. Is that true?
Yes.
And then we have a then, so that's the equivalent of having an arrow there. And then how about this statement? True or false?
False.
Now, what do you remember about your if-then rule?
I see.
See why it's got to be false?
Right. Only false when the first one's true and the second one's false. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Anything else on the second page? Otherwise, I'll scoot over to page 3. Yeah, number 11, I don't know, we've gone through that, but you may want to still talk about it. But that's find the implications. And you have to remember that an implication is when an if-then statement turns out to a tautology. And the rest of the problem, you had to try if-thenning all the different ways you could. And that's what all those columns were about. I left you just enough to try all the combinations. And then go ahead and do the truth tables. And unless you get all truths, it's a failure. And there are two of them turned out to become tautology. So those were your 2 implications. I think we spent some time on that the other day in class, so my guess is probably we'll talk about that again. We still, last we talked about this, I was a little worried. We still had a little bit of confusion about number 12. When you draw an Euler diagram, and it's an if-then statement, like this first one here, if the game is televised, then people will watch the game. Where do you put the if part?
In the middle.
Yes, in the inside. That is correct. And that's the biggest thing there. I had a number of people put the if part on the outside. Then it's not gonna be successful. Anybody want to talk about number 12 other than that general principle?
I'm fine with it.
I'm good.
So 13 was the same as number 12? Oh, no, I'm sorry. 13 you were supposed to do with an Euler diagram again. If the cat's in the room, then the mice are hiding. So the if part, again, has to go in the inside. You don't have to code it with the letters I did, just so you put the if, could have called it C for cat. That would have been fine. And then mice are hiding. That's got to go on the outside. And then the second premise here is the mice are not hiding. Well, uh, there's no way that's gonna. I mean, that's got to be on the outside of the cat, right? So the cat can't be in the room. I mean, we can't be in that circle. So that one appears to be valid. And then 14 was the truth table version of the same argument. And again, by the way, if I do that on the exam, where I give you the same problem to be done both ways, you know, once with the Euler diagram, once the truth table, these two have to agree, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Euler's diagram and the truth table always agree. So I know I had some people who disagreed themselves. They had one answer for one, and so you want those two. I don't know if I'll have time to ask you the double question like that. All right, there was one more to the test, and that was those electrical logic networks. We kind of talked about that the other night, but you might want to ask some more about them. I mean, the extra credit. This is why we had. Why was that an extra credit? Mostly because of this right here. I never taught you guys how to make a diagram for if-then, but here's the thing that might have gotten you the extra credit. If you remembered this, that's the same as. So if you could remember this, then you could have substituted in an or, and that's what I did right here. I substituted in an or, and then you could actually make the diagram.
And ors are stacked and are side by side for these, right?
That is correct. Yep, that's really all you have to remember about the diagrams. Ors, stacked, and side by side. Yep. Wow, I can hardly believe 53 minutes have gone by. Does that tell you about how much fun this is for me? Thank you for giving me fun today. You guys are asking good questions. Thank you for asking.
So your rule that you just put at the bottom of the page, if P then Q is equal to negative P, is that how we say that?
Not P.
Or not P, either one.
P, or Q. How does Q end up being the one in the diagram that's got the compound sign?
Well, it's because I didn't start. Okay, in the extra credit problem,
I
I
see.
didn't have
Okay.
if then Q,
All right.
and if Q then yeah. I maybe have shown you the opposite. That one started if Q then P. Do you see that?
Yes, I do. I do.
And that's the reason. Yeah. So, of course, we do have Chapter 8 yet, although we only had, what, 4 lessons. So I don't know. Where would you like to go next?
Well, I just have some questions, and they're basics questions. You want us to know the names of like octagon, pentagon, heptagon. We should have all those memorized.
Yeah,
And then
what did I say? Up to 12, I think. Yeah.
and then is it the same for the different triangles, right? Acute, obtuse.
Yeah, obtuse. Yeah, there's a lot of terms in geometry. hopefully most of those you said, yeah, that's you got. Now I'm not going to make you define them. I'm not going to say define an obtuse triangle with real formal language. No. But if I say to you in a problem, if you begin with an obtuse triangle or something like that, then you of course have to know what I mean. So
Okay.
not so much formally, but just you've got to be familiar with them.
Yeah, I think we had one that pertained to the pentagon, so you would need to know what a pentagon is.
Hey,
To,
Michelle, you just reminded me of something. With you guys, we didn't get far enough, but with my class, I'm going to show you. I gave a quiz later in Chapter 8 that we never got to, okay? But let me just show it to you. I want to show you one problem. But maybe I won't be able to find it. Yeah, look at number 5 down here on this quiz. Okay, it says find the measure of one of the interior angles of a regular undecagon. There's an excellent example of what in the world is an undecagon? Well, it's one of those from that list. It's the 11 side. So, the first thing, what did I do? I used that n minus 2 times 180 to get the total degree. You remember that little formula?
yes.
And n stands for how many sides. So because you knew undecagon was 11, 11 minus 2 is 9. Now I could figure out 9 times 180. That's the total degrees, 1,620. One more step. I didn't ask you for the total. I asked you for what's each one, if they're all equal. And so do you see how I had to then take total and divide by 11? But my point is, the term undecagon, you just wouldn't be able to do it if you didn't know what that's. So that's a good example of where a term you have to know what the term is, not to define it, but to use it. Almost sounds like somebody's got a vacuum cleaner on.
No, my husband's just busy.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good news. Maybe bad news. I won't let my wife know about that.
Right. He's doing all double housework today so I can study.
Wow. So I was right. It is a vacuum.
No, I was moving stuff around.
Oh, okay.
He's waiting to vacuum till I'm finished, and he's also got a drill out. No pressure though, Ron.
Wow, a drill. So this guy is Mr. Everything here. This is wow, impressive.
So what are the chances we could get this quiz sent to us?
I'll send it to you.
Okay, even with, I mean, I want the answers.
With the answers.
Yeah.
so
What I'll do is I'll just
compare
send you an email with this image that you're looking at, right? I mean, except for the red marks I made. I'll just send you a copy with the image, and then yeah, you'll have it all.
Yeah, it's a good study tool, looks like.
Yeah, but the only problem is it goes farther than lesson 8.4. Okay, like you don't see it, but there's another page here. And in order to do this number 7, and we didn't have number 8 either.
Okay.
So number 7 is a volume problem, and we didn't get that far. So I'll tell you what, I'll just send you the first page. Let me look. Are there any others on here? Boy, did we get to similar triangles? Yeah, we did. We had to do the ratios. So number 4 is a good practice problem. Well, all these are. You got did we talk about skew lines? Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys remember these? This kind here?
Yeah.
gosh.
There's the 3D thing that.
Where you had to see where things overlap, and remember we did that in class.
Mhm.
Anyway, yeah, so there are some good review questions, and then here's the 3D one where I tried to make it clear. That's fine skew lines there. Hopefully that looks three-dimensional to you guys. Anyway, I'll send you this. As soon as I'm done here, I'll send it. Yeah, what raised the issue was Michelle's question about term. And this was a good example. Is for 5. I had a student in my undergraduate class who took that, and he said to me, "Can you tell me what a noon decagon is?" And I said, "Well, I really can't because that was part of what you were supposed to learn, and they really couldn't do the problem then." So, although I will tell you this, if the person would have written n-2 in parentheses times 180 down, I might have given a fractional point to them, because at least they did something. So I'll send this to everybody. I'm going to send you just that first page, 1 to 6. Not going to confuse you guys with questions not on the exam. Anything else?
I'm good.
By the way, you can ask questions Wednesday before we start. That'd be fine.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
No, it looks like you're still connected. You look peaceful.
Yeah, I'm still here. Just
Digesting.
And you look like you're.
what I
you
don't
look
know, I
calm.
don't know. So I don't know how to ask what I don't know.
Gotcha. Well, when you think of any little clue about what you want to find out about, go ahead and send me anything. I'll do my best to answer you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure. Happy that you guys are all able to connect. So did you want to do any more, or should we wait till Wednesday now? I mean, I can go longer. That's fine with me.
I probably am at my end for your review. I'm still going to review myself and probably come up with more questions. So I'm
That's
finished
good.
for today.
I'm good too for now.
By the way, Michelle, what you just described is an excellent way to do that. You have to start with questions, answer them, live with them a little bit, do some more studying. Now I got some more questions. That's exactly the way it should go. So I like that. That's a good process. That's the process I think we need to use. All right.
Yeah, it works for me.
It's a good way to do it. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, lady, and thank you, Michael.
Yep, no problem.
Go Packers.
Yep, we'll see you on Wednesday, hopefully with a win.
I sure hope that offense comes to life.
Yeah.
Well, Mike McCarthy is calling the plays today.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Where did you hear that?
Well, my son is a huge Packer fan, and he sent me a copy of a page of Packer updates. So it'll be interesting what the outcome is, because it hasn't been so pretty.
Thank your son for that inside info. I had not heard that yet.
You cut that boy open, he'll bleed green and gold, I tell you.
Okay, well, keep the green and gold bandages ready just in case.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.